Hey guys, what's up? All right. Welcome back to Radio Out of Control. That's what I'm going to call my new channel. Today's episode is going to be on the HG-P407 shocks. Everybody says they're a crappy setup. I looked at them. I don't think they're that bad. So we're going to do a comparison between that and the Bruiser. And here we go. Okay, so here's what we got. We have a couple of shocks here. This is the HG-P407. This is the Bruiser. Okay. Now, they look the same. They don't quite act the same. And there's a positive side to the HG-P407 shock, and I'll tell you what it is right now. Let's tear this thing apart. Okay. Now, as you can see, aluminum body. This thing in here, okay, we take this off. It's a nice boot. This here's the culprit. The spring on here, it just like, bounces the truck around. And if you've seen my my thrashing video on this here, where I took it out and it was hammer time, the back of it looked like a bucking bronco. And so I actually slowed the video down because it was so ridiculous, it wasn't funny. So let's tear this apart, okay? And we're gonna figure it out. Now, if you look, here's what I found out, okay? The Bruiser shock has a total length of 85 millimeters, okay? So anybody who wants to put a Bruiser shock on this and that, and I think they had the 85 millimeter shock for the simple fact of this thing started life as the Blazing Blazer and the Hilux, and it was a 1.9 rig, and so the shock life was probably about there because it was very short, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they had a different shock for those, but these will work on both, okay, and the Bruiser. Now, this shock here, which your HG-P407, is actually a 90 millimeter shock. All right, so anybody who wants to upgrade to a scale shock, that's cool. Trying to find a good shock today, I've seen some really nice, really ultra scale shocks, but the problem is they're spring shocks just like these. Instead of the spring being up here, they got it inside. Now, this shock here, I'll tell you the benefits of the shock, and I'll show you why. Okay, if you look at the very tops of them here, all right, this one's crimped over with an O-ring inside it. All right, and now the Bruiser shocks, I used to wear right out. And this one here it's sloppy, sloppier than a moose's pooch. It just like the oil just squishes out of it because it's worn out. And you can buy replacements and all that stuff. But one thing that they did here at the factory, which I thought was really cool, other than putting that spring on there. Take this apart real quick here. Now we're going to lose this spring because it doesn't need to be there. Unless you're making a monster truck or something where you got some give in the wheels. And it's a really stiff, I mean, it's a stiff spring too. Now here's the benefit of these shocks. All right, now they all come apart at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to take the bottom off. And there's a little spring inside there, so be careful not to lose it. There it goes, right there. That's a little spring. And here's your lower cap. Now inside here, they have kind of a plug bellow in here with a rubber O-ring on it. And this floats in there back and forth. And it is super tiny. Little brass plug. As you can see, it's got a tiny little O-ring on it there. Now, the Bruiser has the same setup inside. All right. And I'll tear that one apart in a second. The only difference between the bases of these shocks, all right, from what I saw, was the Bruiser has kind of a rubber bellow in there. It's kind of like a tiny little, like if you cut a balloon off at the very end, it comes in there and has a little lip around it that seals the oil off inside the shock so it doesn't leak out the threads. Now, here's the benefit of the HG-P407. The top comes off, okay? It just screws on where the Bruiser don't. It's crimped in, and to change these things, it is hard because you gotta get in there and like mash this lip open that's crimped over to change the O-ring, and then try to get it back together with it sealing up. Now, here's what I found out. All right. Now, internally, this just has basically a rubber O-ring and 2 E-clips holding this thing together, okay, which rides up and down inside here. Now, on the top, over here, inside, it has a plastic spacer, all right, this tiny little plastic washer. And under that washer is a rubber O-ring. Now, everybody says these shocks suck and all this stuff and they leak and everything else. Okay, I agree. Now, this is, you see I got 2 washers here. The original washer that came on this thing, when you take the top of the shock off and you look at the very top, it sits under the recess. So there's no pressure on when you screw the cap on, there's no pressure to spread out that little tiny, make sure I get a close up here on it. As you can see, it's just barely on the top, okay? So the O-ring just kind of rides around the shaft and doesn't seal nothing. So here's what I did, all right? I have found some of these things, and I'll give you the part number right now. During my quest for fun, I shop through different things. I have a Wraith and a few other of the actual kits, but these are things you can buy. Usually they sell them on eBay when they dismantle the kits and sell them piece by piece. Your parts trees, okay? I found these on eBay, but here's the deal. And I'm going to give you the part number off this parts tree because you might be able to buy it separately or as a shotgun pack. Can you see it? AX80034. All right, now you see these here? Now you get 2 of these in the bag, all right? So I believe these are shock shims, okay? I used the number 4 on the end because, I don't know if you can get a good look at the thickness. You see how thin that is right there compared to this one? Because these are shock spacers, actually, to space them out from the body or whatever you want to do. And like I say, here's your shock rings, and here's some extra ends and stuff. So And for all I know, these could go inside it. But I took one of the thin ones off here. Okay, you get 2 of these here in a kit. So that means you're going to have enough for all 4 shocks. Because here's some that I haven't touched. Same part, AX00800034. Okay, you can see they're on there. And so, long story short, I took the one spacer off in the top, left the rubber O-ring first, plastic spacer, and then put another one on top of it, okay? And then you can see how now it sticks up high. Now when you screw your cap on, all right, and you put your shock back inside your shaft and everything inside there, all right, now you see it just kind of floats up and down freely just like it would without the, you know, spring on it. Now, if you tighten this down, now it has some resistance. Okay, and you put a little shock oil on there. You don't have to fill the shock up with shock oil. All right, you just do that right there. And basically, this, if you lube up the inside a little bit with the O-rings and this and that, this turns into almost like a an air shock that, you know, has some resistance to it. It ain't that spring bouncing thing jumping up and down with nothing inside it. You may as well just put a spring on there on a shaft with the original setup they had. Now, there's some nice resistance here. Now, this is one thing that you have to do with these RC cars. Shocks, okay? You have to maintenance these things all the time if you want it to, you know, handle correctly and everything else. That's one thing that's always overlooked. Everybody throws their rigs together and takes them out and bashes them and everything else. And at first they're like wicked cool, man. Yeah, these things handle like they're on rails. That like don't flip over. And then over time, it turns into this loose, out of control thing. And being that, if you've seen the Hammer Time video of this, you see I got my brushless setup in here, and I'm running 11.1 volts. So this thing is totally out of control with too much spring. So I'm gonna, like I say, throw these back together, put them on there, and take it out, and we're gonna do another run here when I get some time. So that's the video for today. I did want to go over some other stuff here too, because I always try to touch on some scale stuff, because I like scale, but I like bashing too. Okay, and this was also, I think this was for the actual I don't think it was the XCX10 or something. I can't remember exactly which kit it was, but if you look on here, you got a couple of steering wheels, you got a couple of guns, you got some shifters, you got yourself a gun rack. If you guys want some scale, put the gun rack in the back window. And this is what I found out was really cool. It actually came with your door handles and window cranks for the inside. And you see I lost one of the handles here, but this is the outer door handles, okay? And actually this looks like it was from the Wraith, to be honest with you. I think this came from the Wraith or something, because that, to me, looks like kind of a Jeep door handle, you know? But like I say, the steering wheel's got yourself an old, like, 50s style, 60s style steering wheel, and then they got like a sport wheel that all your like Chevelles and Camaros and Corvettes had back in the day, you know. I think that's kind of cool. If you wanted to paint that brown, and make like one of them wood wheels and paint it, you know, some silver on the inside, and it'd be like a GM sport wheel. But, and it also has some spacers on here for something, which I don't know what it is, because I don't have the directions to it. But the number of this tree, try to focus in on it here for you guys, is AX80037. That's the one with the guns. Nice rifles on there. Shotgun rack is pretty cool, you know. So, anywho, that's for that. And like I say, also bought another bag of ends and all this stuff too. And you know, this is all like link it, you know, for your 4-link setup and everything. It's got the turned ends and everything on it. And it also has the balls, I believe, on one of these trees here. That's the problem. You got to buy all the trees at once. Now these are actual shock pieces, because there's the bellows for the shocks right there that go inside the shock. So these are shock parts, and then they got the balls here for your shocks. However, I think I used the other ones for the link setup, or maybe these are here. Maybe these got the link setup on them. And this one here is, focus, AX80018 for the small spacers, and these you probably use these for the link mounts or the shocks. So that's my video for today. Like I say, like, share, subscribe if you want. You know, for, like I say, I'm gonna try that shock setup on here and see, you know, if it takes care of the buck and bronco problem I had. And anywho, this is Denny. I hope you like my new trailer and all that stuff that I had set up there. I'm trying to take my page a little more seriously, and I didn't realize the response I would have from all you followers out there. You guys are wicked cool, and you support me, and I try to give you guys as many seat of the pants free ideas and stuff that I can find. And you know, I'm just an old fart, and if I can pass some knowledge off to you guys, and we can continue this hobby to make it even better than it ever was, because all this stuff didn't exist back in the 80s. You know, now it's mainstream with you know, internet connections and all that stuff. So anywho, this is Denny. I'm signing off. Adios.